Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. The first Ohio State-Michigan game I ever saw in person was in 1964 when Buckeye sophomore running back Bo Ryan fumbled a punt return with about a minute and a half. Michigan recovered, went on to score and win the game. 3 years later, Bo was instrumental in the baseball diamond outfield as Ohio State wins the national championship for the first and only time in baseball history. A few years later, it was a tragic day when Bo Ryan, as now the head football coach at LSU, died in a tragic plane crash similar to the death of Payne Stewart. I remember this and all games with Ohio State and Michigan. Now the Buckeyes and Wolverines are going to break some tradition. They're going to play in the afternoon, but they're going to play a month before Thanksgiving. It'll take time to get used to that, but we did, just like we did for games at night at the Shoe. We'll come back, talk to Dennis Manoloff and more. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 24th consecutive year, soon to be 25, and seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Wednesday night, that means the D-Man is here, Dennis Manoloff. Hello, D-Man.
What's up, Les? How you doing?
I'm all right. What did you think about the playoff odds from Bleacher Report and their predictions for the Cleveland Browns, which we'll get to a little bit later? But what I wanted to talk about is let's talk about the Indians last night. Timely hitting, not many hitting, and not many hits, but it turned into a win.
Yeah, desperately needed, Les. The offense is still searching for sure, but entering the 7th inning last night, it was completely non-existent for the last 5-6 games, and they were able to scratch out the tie. It got some breaks along the way, by the way, in getting to tie it, and then the Franmil Reyes 2-run home run. You talk about a hit that potentially could catapult an offense back to respectability. That's it right there. Because
wait a minute.
What's that?
What nickname did I hear you give him?
The Franmil.
Oh, I thought you threw in Fraudmeal.
No. Franmil, the Franimal, because he's so big, but he's not actually as big as he once was. But we'll see. We'll see how the games play out. But this potentially could be a critical hit in the Indian season, especially given that it's only a 60-game season.
Yeah, and you see it so clearly how important each and every game is. And you can't lose those games at this point of this season or any point, to be honest with you. There was, when you think back at other years in watching baseball, 162 games, 162 game season, you could take time off. You can't do that this year.
That's true, Les. And let me say this. I told Brian before the show that I was going to say something controversial, and I'm going to say it now. I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, but Rob Manfred, he gets a lot of criticism, including from me, about how he is handling his job as commissioner of MLB. But I wonder, is he not the mad scientist this year, insofar as only a few days ago, Les, I was convinced or close to convinced that by the time I got on the air with you today, the MLB season would have been suspended or, postponed indefinitely or even canceled, because you had the Marlins already shut down for a while. Then you got hit with the Cardinals, rash of positive tests. Well, what I'm wondering, though, with Manfred is he's saying, I don't care. I'm going to keep going with this season, regardless of the postponements, regardless of the positive tests. I'm going to keep going. And if other teams have to bring up AAA and AA guys to supplement their roster while the positive tests get healthy, then so be it. If I have to have a 7-inning doubleheader like we have going on right now with the Phillies and the Yankees, so be it. I wonder if in some way Rob Manfred is the mad scientist, and he's, if you were weak or need, he would have caved to the positive tests and the PPDs, and we wouldn't be having MLB right now.
Good point. Dennis Manoloff was with us. D-Man, Ohio State's schedule came out today. Pretty interesting, 10-game schedule for the Buckeyes. The thing that really shows right out in the middle is that Ohio State and Michigan is going to be a month before Thanksgiving. It's never been before Thanksgiving before, and this will be interesting.
Yeah, Les, I don't like to see at Purdue on an Ohio State schedule at all. So I'm worried about that game.
Yeah, that goes a long way back.
Yeah, and definitely a couple of years ago at Purdue reached up to bite the Indians, Browns, Cavs, Buckeyes. Also, Iowa on the schedule makes me nervous because Iowa's really good, but you got to beat some teams to get where you want to go, and Ohio State's got to feel like they're good enough to beat these teams, especially with Fields coming back.
Yeah, Iowa doesn't bother me because that'll be after the bye week. Ohio State plays at Penn State on November 7th. Then there's a bye week on the 21st. Then, but by that time, Iowa is going to be determined who they are, and what they are.
Yeah, and Les, was it not Illinois leading off? They're the opener.
Yes, September 3rd.
That's in Columbus.
That's in Columbus.
Yeah.
No. It's on September 3rd or 8th, or I don't know what date, whatever this date is. The opening game will be at Illinois.
Okay. Don't sleep on the Illini simply because they did have a little bit of a renaissance or resurgence last year under Lovie Smith after being so terrible for so long. I can't remember how many wins they finished with. I want to say 6. But they actually played decently well. I remember them beating Wisconsin at home. The mighty Badgers went to Illinois and got beat. So don't sleep on Lovie Smith's Illini, at least for the opener.
Well, the Big Ten United had put some essays out today talking about what they need to do, and they call for safety with the coronavirus, and essays, 3 weekly tests from anybody in contact with college athletes. Also, 2 weekly tests for testing out players, including tests of 24 hours before games. Results will be determined at least 2 weeks before with testing for the players. And you have an automatic test, and that comes for anybody who will miss competition due to positive testing. And as far as the coronavirus is concerned, so they're not taking any chances. Players want to make sure they're safe before they do anything.
I completely agree with those bullet points and the sentiments, and I don't blame the players at all for wanting 100% safety and all kinds of protocols put in place.
Well, as the pros went today, J.C. Tretter, who's the head of the players union, had his mixing with the media, the Zoom call, and he had a lot to say. 3 Browns, make it 4 Browns are opting out, which we'll get to in just a moment. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Did you know that they're giving away a lot of money, the Ohio lottery is? And did you know that the lottery has paid out over $1 billion in earnings? That comes over the past 6 months. People are winning in record numbers, and winning is easy at Ohio lottery spots all over the state of Ohio. Play lottery tickets and play them today. 216-575-0403. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com. You can also find us on the new content posted on Facebook. All you do is send in, we put up the questions, you respond, and then we put them on the air later that night. Real easy to do. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively with the D-Man Dennis Manoloff on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I think guys can't get lax. Everybody in the building can't relax on the protocols, relax on making the right decisions at the facility and away from facility. And I think everybody's realized that it's different. The facility's different. What you have to do at the facility is different. And just making sure guys continue to buy in and understand like this is for the best. And I think the next biggest thing, watching what's going on with baseball, I think the next thing would be talking about continuing daily testing and not having any lag time in testing and making sure guys continue to be tested regularly and we get those results back and we make sure there are sick people getting into the building. We're in pretty constant contact with the other sports leagues and just trying to understand what each group's going through. I think the main thing I'll harp on again is the idea of continuing daily testing. I think the lag time in testing was a big effect on what's going on with baseball. Now, our sport's different, just the amount of traveling they do and the amount of kind of moving the bubble of going from hotel to hotel is difficult, where we'll be in our location most of the time. And that was the goal of moving guys away from having a training camp in one place and then coming back to their original place midway through training camp or doing joint practices or preseason games. You don't want to move that bubble more than you have to. But I think the main one is watching what's going on with baseball is trying to continue daily testing and continue to have that as an asset for us and not having a lag time in testing, which causes these outbreaks. Because when someone's sick and shedding virus in the building, it sweeps through that place quickly. It's extremely contagious. And you want to make sure that the people in the building aren't sick.
Hey, D-Man, anytime you think that football players are dummies, just throw that tape on anytime you'd like.
Oh, man. I want Tretter in charge of my company. I mean, that dude is a smart cookie. Listen, we've always heard, though, Les, that by and large, offensive linemen are bright people because they have so much that they have to process snap to snap. and especially the center position. So, yes, Mr. Tretter is a very bright guy. And what's fascinating, Les, to me, is how it's shaping up. Let's assume the NFL it gets started, and we will have had the four majors, the MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL, all playing, okay, this year after the COVID hit. You have four distinct avenues by which these sports are playing. We start on one extreme with the NBA bubble, 22 teams in one spot. So far, it's working tremendously well. We hope that it continues. Knock on table. Then that was the dogs reacting to my knock on the table. Then we move a little less extreme, which is the NHL, 2 hub cities in Canada. Okay, that's working pretty darn well, all things considered. You move even further to what the NFL is going to try to do, which is not as much travel as the NBA, as MLB, obviously, because there's not, there aren't as many games and there aren't series and that type of thing. And then on the extreme other side is what MLB is trying to pull off, which is 30 teams, 30 venues open for business, travel. So it's a spectrum that has all 4 points along the way, 2 different extremes. MLB has the hardest job. And by the way, it's easy to dump on MLB. We've all done it, okay? But they could not realistically have been expected to do an NBA-style bubble where 30 teams are in one location. It was just unfeasible with that amount of personnel, all right? The NHL hub situation with just 2 cities, that too, to me, would be unrealistic. The whole Florida, 15 teams, Arizona, 15 teams, unrealistic as well. What I advocated MLB should do was 8 to 10 hub cities instead of 2. They didn't do that. They took a chance with 30 and 30, and it's bitten them a little bit. But as I said at the top of the show, it's fascinating how Commissioner Rob Manfred is saying, damn the torpedo, we're going to go regardless of how many positive tests come down the pipe.
I agree with that, except for one thing as far as MLB is concerned. Because of in football, there was so much time to get it right or try to get it right. And in baseball, of course, there's so little difference between teams. Each team, that's why this 60 games could be interesting, because so many teams are going to have a chance to be close in this thing. But when you think about it, baseball has the chance to be the most exciting from a competitive standpoint.
It has a chance, yes. And let me say this quickly, too. By the way, MLB and its players have only themselves to blame, because with their failure to get an agreement between the owners and the players, they dragged on, couldn't get an agreement. Commissioner had to jump in to impose the season. Because everything was agreed upon, or the commissioner imposed season turned into being so late, they didn't really have a time to do what they needed to do to get everybody secure or inoculated. So they have only themselves to blame ultimately. But to your point about parity potential, we're already seeing it, Les. AL Central, Detroit Tigers have 5 victories. And AL East, Baltimore Orioles are alive and kicking. You're seeing teams throughout baseball who have a chance through 10 games. There will be some that have a chance through 20, 30, 40, 50, and then, of course, 60, because that's happened in previous years. We just haven't paid attention to it because it's only been 60 out of 162. There have been mediocre to bad teams who have hung around for a couple months in Major League Baseball before they petered out over the length of a 6-month season.
Yeah, you tell those fans that
have that. And all of a sudden, those mediocre to bad teams, a couple of them in each league, might very well be there at the end.
Yeah, you go tell their fans that no, they didn't win. It was an asterisk kind of a year. You tell those people that. I don't want to be anywhere near that city at that point.
Les, here's my point about that. No team that makes the playoffs, admittedly in the watered down, 16-team playoff of this year, no team that makes the playoffs is going to be complaining or saying that there needs to be an asterisk. And certainly the two teams who make the World Series. You're not going to hear a word from them about how, this season was a joke and it was tricked up and gunked up. No. Those two teams that are standing at the end are going to say, we are playing for the whole deal, and no way are you going to attach an asterisk to our title.
All right, let's go back when we talked to J.C. Tretter, because opening day is coming up, and apparently most players hanging in, although there's some reports that some big-name players are out there who are on the fence here as far as opting out. Browns have 4 players who opted out, and that's Drake Dorbeck, the offensive tackle. Then you got Drew Forbes, the guard. Then Colby Gossett comes in, and defensive tackle Andrew Billings. So 4 non-big name guys are opting out as far as the Browns are concerned, and they'll have other players will have up until 4 o'clock tomorrow to make a decision if they'd like to do that. Are you concerned that any of the bigger name players are going to opt out in the next 24 hours?
Yeah, Les, it is possible, but here's how I view it. Number one, I don't begrudge any player in any sport for opting out. I mean, in the MLB, you had Lorenzo Cain, a really good player for the Brewers. He opted out a few days ago. No problem. I don't blame him at all in given what we're dealing with. So I would never begrudge a player for opting out. Number two, I don't blame the respective leagues for plowing forward and saying, you know what, we're going to have opt-outs, we're going to have positive tests, but we're going to continue to plod on. We're going to continue to move forward. I'm not trying to be callous here, Les, but in the NFL situation, you always hear next man up because there's so many injuries in the NFL. It's a game of attrition. Well, guess what? Next man up applies in this case as well with COVID.
Maybe more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you have COVID or you opt out because you fear you're going to get COVID, okay, you're entitled to. Wish you well, but next man up. Next man gets an opportunity. Les, before the show, I was watching, as I said, the Phillies-Yankees first game of the doubleheader. There were several members of the Phillies I didn't even recognize who were playing. Why? They were playing, I presume, because of some positive tests or guys who were coming back from a positive test. So, you know what? This will open up opportunities for other guys, and we will see. But I applaud both the player if he wants to step aside, but also the league for going forward.
All right, so 20 years ago, maybe it's more than that now, that the scabs in baseball went out and some never got to play again. Do you think there's going to be something like that? Although the difference is in the NFL that the guys are on rosters for such a short period of time, they may not even know that the guy across the hall here is a scab as far as the work stoppage is concerned. But I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Les. What were you saying? You're afraid of what?
I'm afraid that some guys may be upset with what they perceive as scabs, the players who are coming back to play and breaking the back in the 80s, they would break the line at that point. But I just hope that doesn't happen because, as you say, everybody's got a different reason for opting out if they in fact do that.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. I hope that it doesn't happen either, and I hope that all sides, no matter how potentially contentious they could get at the bargaining table, recognize that we are living in extraordinary times with crazy circumstances, and therefore we shouldn't finger point in any way, shape, or form.
Am I finding it correct that the non-superstars are the ones who gave it a shot and said, no, I can't do it, it's not worth it? Is that what you're sensing?
In terms of baseball?
No, in the football, there's no real big names right now coming out, and there's still some to come out at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and you just wonder if I think they all use different criteria as to what they're going to do for their own personal needs.
Yeah, and listen, Les, we'll see what happens in the run up to that deadline, to the opt out deadline. But it wouldn't surprise me if at least one or two of the quote unquote big names opt out, as well as the lesser lights, if you will. But to me, they're all human beings right now. Well, they are, regardless, today, tomorrow. Yeah, they're all humans. We should look at them as humans, not put them in tiers. But I get what you're saying. It's natural. It's only natural to say, okay, are the stars opting out? Because if let's say 5 or 6 great quarterbacks opted out, then you would have a crisis in your league,
Sure.
in your NFL. But I don't think that's going to happen.
216-575-0403 is the number if you want to talk to Dennis Manoloff. Tomorrow, Mary Kay Cabot will be here. Players do, in fact, have till 4 p.m. tomorrow to opt out if that's what they choose to do. We'll come back in a moment. Northeast Factory Direct is the place to go. The full price guarantee. If you find that somewhere else is where you can find it cheaper, they'll reimburse you immediately with a check. That's what they do. Alex has done it for 20 years now in his 4 locations. I say 4 because I include the great website, which is northeastfactory.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment with Dennis Manoloff. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Baker, obviously talented. Strong arm, got real competitive fire. Those are the 2 deals that really made me want to sign here was Baker and just like his style as a quarterback. Him being aggressive, him, has that swag with him, which I do want. I want to play for a quarterback who's got that to him a little bit. And, obviously the arm talent's there. So, it was a really easy decision for me. I was in contact with Baker before I signed too. That's, I don't know if I'm getting, anybody in trouble or nothing, but at the end of the day, that's just how it works between players. If we're being honest, like you want to get a feel for the person you're going to work with for years. You know what I mean? So I got in contact with him early on in the process. So when I did sign, I already had an idea of, where am I going? Where's my quarterback? What is he all about? And, I told him that, I like to work. I like to do stuff in the off season. He was, more than ready and willing to do that. So right as soon as I signed, a couple weeks later, I went out to Texas and was there for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then took a month off. At that time, we all thought we were about to roll back in for OTAs and what have you. And obviously things have changed since then. And then about a month after I first came out there, I stayed another week and a half out there. So again, banked a few hundred reps with him, had a good time with him on and off the field, and just got a feel for him, his personality, his wife, his family, his friends, and just kind of really see Baker the person. So it was a good time.
I'm wondering if he helped clean up the bathrooms and all that stuff from last year. You know, it's interesting, D-Man, when you say that Hooper is maybe worried of being in trouble. You've got to be able to make that call. You got to let people know, or let yourself know, what those millions of dollars mean. Is it just cash, or is it going to be an opportunity for players to play with the guys they want to play? I would be surprised if he didn't make contact with Baker.
Yes. And by the way, you know what else made it an easy decision for Hooper? The case. I mean, I would be running to Cleveland too if they were dangling that kind of money
Absolutely.
at me.
Absolutely.
So,
216.
Listen, and last, I'm excited about the tight end room. You got Hooper. You have Njoku, who said he's back in. You know, he's all in now with Cleveland, and I'm glad. I never thought it made any sense for the Browns to acquiesce to Rosenhaus, his agent's trade demand. I think David Njoku has a chance to be a good tight end in this league, and I want him to be a good tight end with the Cleveland Browns. And then you have the draft pick, Harrison Bryant. So, I'm excited to see what this tight end group can do, and especially when you know that Kevin Stefanski loves his tight ends.
You know, it's so clear to me that the Njoku thing, here's what I get out of that. If you're Drew Rosenhaus and you're not worth, I don't know, $10 million a year, don't bother calling Drew Rosenhaus. There are other guys who handle that smaller amounts of money.
Yeah, it was a little odd that David Njoku, coming off the season he was coming off of, which was not good at all, barely played, was in the doghouse with Kitchens, would all of a sudden be saying, well, I got to get out of here. I'm going to demand a trade, because the Browns had no reason to move him. I'm sure they weren't going to fetch anything major for him because he wasn't coming off of a good year. So the Browns had all the leverage. Rosenhaus tried to force Njoku out of here. It didn't work. And Njoku comes back on Twitter and says, okay, I'm all in for Cleveland. And that's good. I believe him. I think David Njoku will work hard. I think he'll want to resuscitate his career. You know, it's only been a few years in the league, but I think he's going to want to get back on solid footing as a prospect to good tight end. And therefore, the Browns are going to get the maximum effort from David Njoku.
Yeah, it's so obvious to me. There's nobody else, very few teams around the league playing that kind of an offense. So Njoku rather, can show himself and the rest of the league what he can do. And you know that it's a copycat league. If the teams don't like what they're doing this year, hey, throw in a couple tight ends next year.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you're Njoku, you put your nose down and you go to work and you earn your snaps. Presumably, you're going to be productive as long as you get open and catch the ball. He has the athleticism. He's in the right system to do it. Okay, so you go through this season, you stay healthy, you be productive, and then, you know what? Either the Browns keep you, or you can say, hey, I'm coming off of a really productive 2020 season for another team. So I think it just behooves Njoku to stay here, work hard, earn snaps, be productive, and that's apparently what he's going to try to do.
I agree. 216-575-0403 is the number to call, and the list keeps growing of people who are donating money to our walk, which is coming up. It's Pals in Motion. It improves the lives of people, those with Parkinson's disease. Go to events.beinmotion.org. Events.beinmotion.org. My team's name is Moving More with Less. If you can contribute, that's fine. If you can just walk with us, that's just as fine with us. And that'll be coming up the day the Browns play the Ravens, although there is no conflict in that game, and that'll be September 13th. And the Ravens play the Browns that day, but it's not at the same time. Again, it's Pals in Motion, and it improves the lives of people with Parkinson's, as well as not just the people, but their family, their caretakers, and anybody else who is involved in this horrible disease, Parkinson's. And we appreciate your help, no question about that. 216-575-0403. You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on a path to much more things to do for a brighter future. Try at Tri-Seers rather. They've got over 1,000 courses and over 1,400 technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information from Tri-C. We'll come back in a moment. Dennis Manoloff with us tomorrow night. It is Mary Kay Cabot. That's Thursday night, right? So Mary Kay will be here. We'll take a break, come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine seen live exclusively on cleveland.com. Dennis Manoloff is here. And we've had a lot of national guys make their prediction, and actually the Browns come out pretty good in most of them. Bleacher Report says from a talent standpoint, the Browns should be one of the best teams in the AFC. They have a lot of offensive weapons as well as a talented defensive front which is led by Myles Garrett. They also need a retooled offensive line, which they think they have. Cleveland's chances of making the postseason will also hinge on quarterback Baker Mayfield's ability to bounce back from a disappointing sophomore campaign. The Browns can be playoff contenders this year with the double-digit wins, which could prove elusive in a brutal division with a tough opening schedule. Cleveland starts out with the Baltimore Ravens, followed up by the Pittsburgh Steelers and Indianapolis Colts. Then they've got the Dallas Cowboys within the first 6 weeks. Bleacher Report's prediction on the season, 9-7. Super Bowl odds, 35-1. What are you doing?
Here we go again. I mean, the obligatory off-season rose petals thrown at the feet of the Cleveland Browns. The other teams in the AFC North, Les, they got to sit there and just laugh. Like the Ravens are like, oh, really? The Browns are so talented. Okay, yeah, all right. The Steelers, by the way, I hate to do this because I can't stand the Steelers. They're lying in the weeds with a pretty darn good defense. They're getting Roethlisberger back, and we'll see how his elbow responds. But, you know, he's still Ben Roethlisberger. So their expectations are high. The Bengals have Joe Burrow. So I find it interesting again that these various outlets are lauding the Cleveland Browns when they still haven't done.
Last year they felt that way about the Browns. Things fell apart. I would very happily give up that year of last year, what happened there, to get them back on track as they should be this year.
Right, but here's what is important to remember. Kevin Stefanski, for as smart as he is going to be a first-year head coach. Admittedly, a first-year head coach in a global pandemic situation with all sorts of differences to the way they go about training and training camp and then the season. But he's still going to be a rookie head coach in the NFL. It's very difficult to all of a sudden become a rookie head coach and win a lot of games. It's just not easy to do in general. And you're taking over a team that was 6-10. Yeah, it looked like an underachieved. But I guess I'm in the, show me, don't tell me mode, even though, as you know, Les, I'm always optimistic about the Browns in the offseason. I still want to see it before I believe the hype.
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk about your thoughts on what's going on with the Indians, which we'll do in the final segment of the show. But we do have a Facebook question of the day, and that question today is a good one. If you could add one former Indians player, we'll get to it when we come back. We'll take a break, then we'll figure out what we're doing baseball-wise. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Never replace your basement flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Pearl Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone. When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Here we go. Today in sports history, that comes in 2001. Indians overcome a 12-run deficit, and they wind up winning a game by unbelievable 15-14 that game. D-Man, one of the great games against the Mariners at then Jacobs Field, and can I admit something to you?
Yes, sir.
My wife and I left in the third inning.
Yeah, I mean, I have to acknowledge I was not on assignment that day, and I was jogging around the town when and listening to it on the Walkman, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing.
All right, let's check out birthdays for today, see who's celebrating. And Roger Over and Out, born in 1947, Patrick Ewing, Otis Thorpe, Carl Crawford, Domingo Santana, as well as Kevin Johnson, all celebrating birthdays today. The 5th of the month of, what month is this? August. There you go. Got that one right. Shane Bieber. Pretty good, D-Man.
I mean, it's hard to start a season as well as he had. I'm glad I know wins are passe now in the pitching, stats.
Especially this year.
What's that?
Especially this year.
Yeah, but I'm glad he got one last night because he deserved it. 3 starts, 3 dominant starts, incredible amount of strikeouts. He's just blossomed into a front of the rotation, one of the best pitchers in the American League, if not the entire league. Obviously, All-Star MVP last year, but it's really fun to watch him.
And he gets a game last night where he's only walked 3 batters all year, which is incredible. And he's just, you start thinking about the All-Star game last year. You start thinking, I don't know how they're going to do the Cy Young Award, but he obviously 3-0 with. It's just incredible to think of how well he is doing. No question about that. So Bieber, he's not that he's automatic, but every time he steps to the mound, you got to think the Indians have a very good chance to win. All right, if you could add one former Indians player to the current roster, D-Man, who would it be?
Former Indian, how far back?
Well, let's start with the ones that are still playing.
I'll take Bob Feller.
Let's start with guys who are still playing. Mine's Michael Brantley.
I mean, that's a great call, Les. Of the ones who are still active, ex-Tribe Pride, I mean, Shin-Soo Choo, but I'd rather have Brantley than Choo. Kipnis, I like Kipnis, but I'd rather have Brantley. I would say Michael Brantley makes a lot of sense.
Hey, you just said something. I think you said it. I heard you say it. That has not gotten any publicity. You got all these different name changes, the Indians and the Washington football team and all that stuff. How come we haven't heard anybody complain about, and Urban Meyer is probably the most guilty with Buckeye Nation. How come there's no complaints about using the term nation?
Yeah, I hear you. I do, Les. And yeah, I'm not going to argue with you.
Well, good. I didn't want an argument. All right,
Quite stipulated.
Yeah, let's take a look at what some of the fans had to say about who they want. Andy Mees from the past, he'd want Albert Bell, can't argue that, and Michael Brantley from the current players, and that would take care of the outfield. Glenn Berger says Michael Brantley, the Indians need help in that outfield. Larry Pantages says from the 40s, Bob Feller. From the from the 50s.
I love Larry Pantages.
Yeah, from the 50s. You ever work with him?
No, but I've heard about how great he is.
From the 50s, Al Rosen. From the 60s, Sudden Sam McDowell. From the 70s, you got Gaylord Perry. And from the 80s, it's Joe Carter. From the 90s, Albert Bell. Then bring in Grady Sizemore, who I think celebrated a birthday yesterday. The Indians have had some good players over the years. They really have. I know people complain about Paul Dolan. They used to complain about the Jacobs brothers, but they've actually had some really good players over the years.
Right, Les. When you think about Grady Sizemore, I mean, what an incredibly talented player, but injuries, ran him down, and it's just another example of how fame can be fleeting. Professional athletics.
He ran him down injury wise because the guy hustled, tried to run through walls at every occasion.
Yeah, and honestly, Les, I'm not saying that Bradley Zimmer was going to be on the Grady Sizemore career path. We'll see about Zimmer's career, but the way Zimmer started out, where he was running everything down and smashing into walls, it reminded me of Grady Sizemore. But here's the point, though. Sizemore and many, many others have come through, have looked good, but have had injuries. So, therefore, I don't begrudge these guys for wanting, to get theirs in terms of cash, if that's what their motivation is, or whatever, because before you know it, you could be out of the game.
Yeah, I've been on Tyler Naquin since he's been here. But when you think about it, I would guess you'd have to say he's injury prone, right? Certainly.
Naquin, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one to say because the knee last year was as a result of him smashing into a wall, making a fantastic catch in Tampa Bay. When I think of injury prone, Les, I agree with you in the macro that Naquin has had injuries, but when I think of injury prone, I think of the soft tissue injuries
Right.
more so than I do injuries that result from playing hard.
I was going to say this the same thing and reverse myself on it, but when you think about it, his injuries now at the age of 28, it's hard to come back from whatever kind of injury. You know, it's not a knee, it's no surgery and that kind of stuff. But at this point, you gotta play ball.
Yeah,
And that's
listen, let me
unfortunate.
let me draw a distinction. There's injury prone, and then there are guys who just seem to be followed by injuries. Okay. And that's where I feel like maybe Naquin is trending. It just not his fault, but injuries seem to find him. They seem to find certain guys, whereas other guys seem immune to them.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, if you can't reach us during the show, which is on from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, if you can't catch us at that time, Monday through Friday, you can call us anytime as the self-proclaimed voice of truth and the reason. You can do that at 216-665. I'm sorry, 216. Let's try that one again. 216-200-650. There you go. D-Man, you read it. Nah, I can do it. Call anytime, leave us a message, we'll get it on the air. We're going to come back one more time. More Sports and Less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Here we go. Tomorrow night, we'll have Mary Kay Cabot here. We'll be here, of course, as we are from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then you can archive it and watch it and roll it back and do whatever you want. That's tomorrow night. I don't know who's going to be here Monday. Somebody. D-Man, find somebody off the street. Let's bring them in Monday.
Absolutely, Les. Let me jump in with one thing. I don't want to forget to say this. Get well soon, Terry Francona. Indians manager Terry Francona has been out. He began to feel ill, I guess, in spring training. He's been dealing with a GI issue, and it sacked him finally at the end of that Twins series, and he has not managed in the Red series. So we wish him well, and we hope it's nothing serious.
Yeah, D-Man, did the Indians come out with an official wording on that? Maybe what it is, how long he'll be out?
Not that I know of. All I've heard, Les, is day to day. But he wasn't there at the end of the Twins series. He wasn't there at the beginning of the Red series. He won't be there tonight, at least in the dugout. So I hope that whatever it is that's ailing Terry Francona can be resolved, because he is not only a great manager, but he's a guy that MLB needs. He's a personality in that dugout. that Major League Baseball needs.
Yeah, let's hope for the best on that. It's interesting because Brad Mills, his right-hand man, his bench coach, he's been out all year and will continue to be out, and that involved a family situation. And it's tough. You think of baseball and you don't think about what goes behind the scenes because a lot of things, life goes on.
Yeah, Les, and think about Terry Francona's interim replacement, Sandy Alomar Jr. It wasn't long ago that Sandy Alomar Jr. was a hot commodity for a managerial job. At least 2 off seasons that I can recall where he was on the short list of multiple teams.
Yeah, if Terry Francona doesn't join the Indians, maybe Sandy is the guy here.
Yeah, I mean, he was rumored to go potentially to the Mets. I was hearing the Blue Jays, the Pirates. So there were plenty of teams seemingly that had, Sandy Alomar Jr. on their respective lists. And there are people who believe that Sandy Alomar Jr. will be the Indians manager when Terry Francona decides to hang it up for good. But if he isn't, it shows how that sort of dynamic can unfold, and all of a sudden you can go from a super hot commodity to not necessarily a hot commodity.
Right. All right. Now that you've seen what you've seen in Major League Baseball with the shortened games and all that, what are you seeing? What do you think? What do you think you're seeing?
It's crazy, but as I said at the beginning of the show, I honestly thought of this right as we were going on the air. Maybe, just maybe, Rob Manfred is the mad scientist, the nutty professor. Everybody dumps on him, including me, you. We all have dumped on Rob Manfred as doing a bad job as commissioner. And I'm not saying he hasn't done a bad job in certain areas, but the bottom line is the Major League Baseball is being played today because of Rob Manfred, both his commissioner-imposed season and because once that season got underway and positive tests started rolling in, and the Marlins, as one example, and then the Cardinals had to be PPD'd indefinitely, he still kept going. And he said, you know what, we're going to continue to go. And a lot of people, I think, were expecting Rob Manfred to go, all right, we did our best, we tried, but too many positive tests. We can't have more than one team during the course of a season be indefinitely postponed. Well, guess what? We've already had 2 teams now, and you throw in the Phillies, essentially, that's a 3rd team, and yet Rob Manfred's like, we're going to keep playing. So it has been a wacky season. I think about the Oakland Athletics, Les. They've already got 2 walk-off grand slams this year. How crazy is that? But you're talking about 7-inning doubleheaders. You're talking about man on second in extra innings. All this crazy stuff, 3-batter minimums. But honestly, I am watching. Now, I know the ratings aren't good for baseball coming back, but they aren't necessarily beaucoup for the NHL or the NBA either. So at least baseball is playing, and at least these guys are trying, and we'll see how it goes.
And Manfred is universally unliked.
Right. There's no doubt. And nothing that I just said is going to make anybody give Rob Manfred a round of applause. Like, yeah, Rob, way to go. Keep it going, buddy. But the fact is, he's overseeing a league that easily could have tapped out by now. And Rob Manfred said, no, we're going to keep playing.
Great point. All right, great job by the D-man, Dennis Manoloff. When's your next gig on 1100?
We got a busy stretch coming up, Les. Tomorrow night and Friday night for Indians post-game shows. It kicks off about 8 or 9 days of excitement.
All right, keep up the great work as I know you will, Dennis Manoloff.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Dennis Manoloff. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night with Mary Kay Cabot. My guess is that we'll talk some football. We'll see you tomorrow. Of all the shows I've ever done, this is the most recent.